construction, and they sent the youngest one to go and buy something. Before the younger one came, the whole thing just dropped down. We just had a bang boo. And then we rushed down here. We met the boy crying. What's the problem? That all his guys are under this place and the place collapsed. So we just have to. I started making an arrangement to get diggers and whatever to get the job done. But there's not much we can do. Because from the young boy, the younger one we asked there are about 8 people. We're 8 in number, but the youngest one went out. So 7, precisely 7 should be inside there.
Well, outside of Lagos, in Abuja to be precise, parliamentary workers have threatened to go on strike if the leadership of the National Assembly does not immediately address issues of alleged corruption and diversion of funds appropriated for staff welfare. The aggrieved workers today staged a peaceful protest within the premises of the National Assembly, chanting solidarity songs against the management and disrupting legislative activities in both chambers of the parliament.
President Goodluck Jonathan is in South Africa on a 2-day visit expected to boost trade relations between both countries and other bilateral ties. Earlier today, he addressed a joint session of the South African Parliament in Cape Town, where he emphasized the importance of harmonious relationship between all 3 arms of government. He paid tribute to those who made possible the freedom and democracy which both countries enjoy today, as well as Nigeria's involvement in the fight against apartheid in South Africa, eventually leading to their independence. He urged that both countries work together to promote trade and investment, and that as leaders on the continent, they are in a unique position to lead all Africa to the promised land where poverty, inequality, want, disease, communal and interstate conflict will be a thing of the past.
We must work together to put an end to the exploitation and exploration of Africa's resources for export without any value being added. In this regard, African countries must transform from being primary source of raw materials, either forest produce, agri-products, or mineral, to producers of finished or semi-finished products, so that you can create jobs and wealth for our people. We must check the loss of Africa's trained manpower to already developed countries. These are the very people we need to scale up our economies, as well as improve our public and social services. We must work together to promote trade and investment among our countries and build transnational infrastructure in such critical sectors as trade, telecommunications, and transportation in order to fast-track the process of people-centered continental integration. We must check the illicit transfer of huge sums of money to the developed world from Africa through sharp practices such as transfer pricing, tax evasion, and corruption, all of which contribute to Africa's economic underperformance. Many African countries are faced with the challenges of terrorism and other acts of violence, which compound security problems across national and regional borders. African leaders, and particularly our parliamentarians, must commit to the plan to check the proliferation of small arms and light weapons. The production, circulation, and use of these arms and weapons pose a serious threat to political stability and the safety and welfare of our people.
President Goodluck Jonathan on a visit to South Africa, asking all African countries to work together to boost trade and investment relations. Now, to politics, no fewer than 10 governors and other party leaders under the new mega party, the All Progressives Congress, have converged on Owerri, the Imo State capital, for a solidarity rally as part of activities to mark the Imo Freedom Week celebration. They arrived at the Sam Mbakwe Airport at about noon today and proceeded in a motorcade to the Heroes Square, venue of the rally. The governors present include Babatunde Fashola, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, Adams Oshiomhole, Rauf Aregbesola, Abiola Ajimobi, and Ibikule Amosun.
The federal government has reacted to the report by the Committee to Protect Journalists CPJ ranking in Nigeria as second in the world on its impunity index. Questioning the credibility of the group on our breakfast show, Sunrise Daily, the Minister of Information, Mr. Labaran Mako, maintained that the report is an attempt by political detractors to discredit the present administration. Mr. Mako insisted that the federal government is fully in support of press freedom and will continue to uphold its stance on the protection of journalists.
In Nigeria today, the press is not under attack. Government is not controlling the media. Nobody is being persecuted in Nigeria because of what they write. We're a country under a number of challenges because of the terror in the northern part of the country. But I don't think we can use that to show or to demonstrate that the government of Nigeria is deliberately ignoring investigation of cases against journalists, maybe while taking interest on other citizens. So I think, honestly, I see the CPJ team more as of a political, judgment. And I can tell you, it's only in this country that we just take the report of an international organization we don't know and it's celebrated. And the way we have seen this CPJ thing, it seems to me there is more to it than meets the eye, and we're still looking at those behind it and what they are talking about. What we require today is not about Nigerian press under attack by anyone, never from the state, but I think honestly that our press is free. And last week, the United Nations said that Nigerian press is one of the freest in the world, which means that our freedom is not only comparable continentally, but globally. And I think that should be a plus for the media and for our Nigerian democracy.
The Minister of Information, Labaran Mako. Well, the federal government has announced plans to sanction airline operators who engage in non-scheduled flights without appropriate clearance from relevant government agencies. The Senior Special Assistant to President Goodluck Jonathan, Ms. Ann Eneta, who read the Riot Act to airline operators in Abuja, maintains that government has strengthened the monitoring of non-scheduled flights overflying Nigeria for safety. Strengthen the monitoring of non-scheduled flights for the safety of Nigeria. She reaffirmed the commitment of the federal government to meet the demands of the Aviation Master Plan and the National Civil Aviation Policy in accordance with international standards and recommended practices.
It was a stormy session as representatives of various airlines converged in Abuja at an interactive forum with officials of the Ministry of Aviation. Senior Special Assistant to President Jonathan on aviation reforms read the Riot Act to airline operators, saying the federal government will no longer tolerate their excesses.
The expectations of these new measures, amongst others, are as follows. Application for non-scheduled flight clearance must be obtained from the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA) and Nigerian Airspace Management Agency (NAMA) in that order.
One after the other, representatives of the airline operators criticized the federal government for alleged attempts to stifle the growth of the industry. Just as the Deputy Comptroller General of Customs says, the new policy conflicts with the act establishing the Nigeria Customs Service.
Even if the aircraft is doing 1 week, coming from foreign, it requires approval from the Nigerian Customs Service.
If you are filing a violation against an operator or a pilot, will you be quoting the policy or the regulation?
The Acting Director General of the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority and the Senior Special Assistants to President Jonathan, however, explained that the revised policy is aimed at enhancing the growth of the industry.
It is not the intention of government to strangle or stifle growth.
We are all aware that the aviation industry is a business.
With the absence of the Minister of Aviation at the session convened by the ministry, the revised aviation policy may no doubt remain a contentious issue as aviation players decry alleged bureaucracy in the sector.
Well, still to come on News Track, we're still taking a look at local stories. Switzerland promises to work with Nigeria to address security challenges.
And Kwara State government plans for the rainy season.
Please join us again for details.